Welcome to the channel and welcome to this review of Season of War Thondia, a campaign book for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, which GW have very kindly sent to me for free of charge for your reviewing pleasure. Now, excuse me, I'm going to be coughing a bit. I've got a bit of a cough, I do apologise. I don't review the campaign books for 40k because they contain a lot of faction-specific rules in which I personally believe belong in the codices and not in other supplements you've got to buy. So before deciding whether or not to review this, I had a good look through it to see if the same was true, and if it was, I wasn't going to review it. But I don't think it is. This feels to me like a genuine campaign book set in Thondia, which I really like. You don't have to get this to get the new snazzy rule for your Stormcast Eternal or the special woobity flip for your Night Haunts or whatever. It's just a standalone campaign book set in Ghur. So I'll have a bit of a flick through it and tell you what you can expect to find in the book. So, I'm going to read the foreword at the beginning because I think it's pretty cool. Do you feel it? Do you feel the pounding in the earth, the roar and the crackle upon the air? Ghur is awakened. Forever enthralled to the primal fury deep within its core, the Amber Realm will suffer the assaults of the outsiders no more. Ghur fights back. And like the creatures that call it home, it goes for the throat. Across the realm of beasts, war rages. From the highest peaks to the lowliest valleys, from the freezing tundras to the sweltering rainforests, the great powers of the cosmos battle tooth and claw to gain any advantage over their hated rivals. In Ghur, there is no difference between a hunt and a contest of arms. Cunning is all. That and the ability to stalk one's prey before falling on them in a bloodthirsty frenzy. This has always been the way, but the era of the beast has rendered Ghur more perilous than ever. A wellspring of primordial energy has burst its banks, spilling out and settling into the souls of mortals. As primal natures are stoked, the walls of civilization begin to crumble and fall, battered from without by the ascendant children of Gorka Morka, and from within by those lost to the beast. And that is not all. Disturbing rumours cross the land of entities spawned by the soul of Ghur, elemental creations of the purest amber magic. Where these manifestations roam, the power of the realm is at its strongest, drawing out the animal soul that lurks within every living being. Some will look to benefit from these arcane terrors and use their might for fell ends. Others, no doubt, will see them as a threat to be destroyed. For they should be left unchecked, then Ghur's predatory wrath might yet cause it to devour its siblings entirely. One thing, however, is certain. The war for the realm of beasts has only just begun. Okay, so what do we have? Well, we have some gorgeous artwork. What's the artwork? Dioramas. Pictures of models. So we've got a sort of section on describing Ghur itself. It goes on about how it's absolutely vast, essentially more so than a lot of the other planes, and it contains every type of habitat imaginable, and it's constantly shifting. It's got very fast plate tectonics. Excuse me, very fast plate tectonics. and even the continents are constantly devouring each other, which is how plate tectonics work, but normally very, very, very slowly. This, not so much. Then we've got the history bit with snippets from the Age of Myth, Age of Chaos. It talks about how the centaurs and the dragons warred, and the... Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm so yawny. And Krangos, son of Goros, was eventually imprisoned beneath a mountain. At the end of the war, couldn't be destroyed entirely. And then how the Age of Chaos drew a lot of Ghur's nature drew a lot of cornates, and the realm becoming very sick with chaos. Then your Age of Sigmar, the rise of cities, Stormcast trying to form an alliance with Gorka Morka and the Forces of Destruction, but that not working. And then raising bastions and setting out on the Dawnbringer Crusades. Then we've got a map of the whole realm of Ghur. Thondia represents a relatively small piece in the top right hand corner. I do apologise for my voice and my yawning. I've been a bit poorly recently. There's lots of nice little narrative snippets here. There's this page I've just turned past, the Beast Awakened, has got half a dozen little notes / speeches from various people. This one here is from a dwarven merchant. This one's from a gutter runner of Skaven, a butcher of the Moor tribes, a vampire, a Sigmarite priest. Then we've got a map of the coast of Tusks, which focuses much more closely on Thondia, because Thondia is one continent. It goes on about the cities, the strong points, and various different locales. We've then got a couple of pages called Savage Landmarks. It talks about the cities, an area called the Drowned Lands, which the Cruel Boys created by poisoning the earth, the Cron Spine Range, which is a sort of big sort of spiny mountain range with lots of bones in it, the jungles of Mictospar, the carcass of Zdonts, the Great Gut Fort, the crawling pits of Garentia, the Gnarlwood and Yimnog's Trample. There's lots of cool stuff there. Then we've got about 6 double pages. Each one is a little story. It's a little chapter of something that's happened in Ghur. Normally, most of them are sort of focusing around Dawnbringer Crusades and so on. So we've got one called Summons to War, one called The Call of the Beast, one called Savagery and Slaughter. And you'll notice later on that some of those stories relate to missions, battle plans. Then there's a page about the incarnates of Ghur. The incarnates are effectively the will of the realm made manifest, normally around a large piece of realm stone. So in Ghur, these, or rather the ones that are in this book, are cron spine incarnates, so made up with lots of bones of dead beasties with with amber bone in their centre, and they're normally sort of they're a sort of range of different things. On the one hand, they're sort of defenders of the realm. They're also avengers, so they're rising up against corruption and mistreatment. In the other cases, they're just manifestation of will, so they're just savage predators. And they have varying levels of intelligence and can potentially be communicated with and controlled for short periods. Then we have another few stories. Blood in the Past, The Heart of the Beast, etc. Then some more lovely little pictures. Then we've got a very nice 3, 4, 5 pages of little sort of charcoal / pencil line drawings of lots of beasts and little things about them, like they've been sort of sketched in an old tome for travelling through Ghur. So there's information about them for the wary traveller. You've got Bulgors, Foss Sabres, Cockatrice, Stegodons, Carnosaurs, Troggoths, Jabbersliths, Thondian Flathorns. Interesting. Corpse Ripper Vulture, Itcher Moss, Growl Oak, so these are some predatory plants. Barbed Snifferweed Spheres, Terrapins, all sorts of good stuff. Then we go into the rules. So, first off we have rules about the incarnates. Now, the incarnates are odd. But the first thing, the crons, there's one incarnate, the cron spine incarnate of Ghur. It's a behemoth and it's 400 points. It is unique in a number of ways. So the incarnate does not have a wounds characteristic. It has a state. And basically, as you battle it, it can either grow stronger or it can grow weaker. And if it gets sufficiently weak, it will collapse into the back in just disappear, be absorbed back into Ghur. It starts off as primal, which is level 2. Then in the battle shock phase of any turn, you roll 3d6, and if the roll is less than or equal to the number of wounds that have been allocated to the incarnate this turn, its level is no, it's not this turn. I think they're cumulative. It's dead in the battle shock phase. If any wounds are allocated to the incarnate, its commanding player rolls 3d6. If the roll is less than or equal to the number of wounds allocated to the incarnate, its level is reduced by 1. Then all the allocated wounds are healed. So you've got to do it some damage, and then it shrinks. There are other things it can do to grow. When it gets down to level 0, it's gone. You start off with it bonded to a hero, so basically a hero has tamed it. If at any point the hero is slain, it reverts to a wild form, which treats every unit, yours and your opponent's, as an enemy unit. So what do you get for this? Well, it can move 12. It's got a 4+ save. Its vicious claws are range 1, 6 attacks, 3+3+, -2, 2 damage. And it has tearing fangs, which are 2-inch range, 1 attack, 3+3+, -3+2+, -3, 4 damage. If the incarnate can, these then its things. So bonding, the incarnate can only receive commands issued by the hero it's bonded to. Fine. If the all-out attack command is received by the incarnate, the command is also received by friendly units that are wholly within domination range. Wholly within domination range that are within 3 inches of an enemy unit and not already received a command that phase. Yeah, okay. So domination range, that's another thing that goes with the state. It's basically an aura. It's got a bunch of abilities that affect this range, and the range varies depending on how powerful it is. It doesn't vary a huge amount. Level 2 that it starts with is 10-inch range. If it's weakened, it's 8. If it's empowered, which is bigger, it's 12. So as you've got units fighting in combat, they sort of feel the rage and the power and the bloodlust of Ghur via the incarnate. You also add +1 to casting, dispelling and unbinding rolls for a wizard that's within domination range of an incarnate they are bonded to. Empowerment. If a monster is slain by wounds inflicted by the incarnate's attacks, increase its incarnate level by 1. So you've got to batter this thing down and then stop it killing monsters, because if it kills monsters, it increases again, it grows, it gets better. Wild form. So if it's in wild form, it's because its bonded hero is dead. You add 1 to a hit roll, so everything's going to hit on 2s. It can still run and charge. Sorry, it can run and it can still charge. If it's within 12 inches of a unit or endless spell at start the charge phase, it must charge and make a charge move if possible to do so, bearing in mind, of course, that includes your units. Then it has inflamed savagery is its other rule. The following effects apply to all units that are wholly within domination range. The unit's commanding player can reroll runs and charge rolls, so that's not just yours, that's your enemy as well. The unit cannot retreat. If the unit's a wizard that's not bonded to the incarnate, -1 from casting, dispelling and unbinding rolls. Then there's, and I won't go through all these in detail, but there's the incarnate can charge endless spells, and it has a monstrous rampage that basically eats endless spells. And if it's successful with the eating, it becomes empowered and increases the level by 1. So that's that. Then we have the realm rules for Thondia. All wizards know the Metamorphosis spell. Casting value of 5, range of 12 inches. Pick a hero that's not a monster, and it gains the monster keyword. Realm command. So there is a command ability that everyone can use. Start the command phase. The unit that receives the command must be a monster. Feral Roar it's called. When you look up a value on that unit's damage table, it's treated as not having suffered any wounds. Oh. Then Monsters Denizens is a bit of an odd one. It effectively is around setting up monsters in the centre of the battlefield that don't belong to either army, and the control of them can alternate depending on dice rolls. And then there's mysterious terrain for Thondia. It's a D6 table, very similar to the one in the core rulebook. One is surprisingly ordinary. Thrashing Gnarlock Roots does D3 mortal wounds to nearby enemies. Itchamos, there's a chance of infesting units, and for the rest of the battle, they gain bonuses to charge rolls and hit rolls, but subtract ones from casting, dispelling, and unbinding rolls, and from save rolls, and from missile shooting. So it makes you agitated to melee and negative to everything else. The barbed snifferweed spheres. Looks like you alternate who rolls this. It's in your shooting turn, but you pick an enemy unit within 2d6 and they suffer mortal wounds. Barbed snifferweed spheres. I think these sort of hunt you out. Ghurish Realmstone Deposit. Fills units with bestial fury, adds one to charge rolls and hit rolls. But alright, okay, that appears to be very similar to Itchamos, except it doesn't infect you and last the rest of the battle. It's just whilst you're within the 6-inch range of the Realmstone. And Wellspring of Primordial Energy. Whilst you're within 3 inches of the Wellspring of Primordial Energy, you can attempt to cast the Wild Form spell in addition to any other spell you can normally cast. And that unit gets +2 to charge rolls and run rolls until your next hero phase. So they're the general realm rules. Then we've got the open play, narrative play, and match play sections. I'm not going to go into these in great detail. I'm just going to give you a taste. So the open play is a battle plan generator, just like in the core rulebook, with random territories and a victory table. There were a few that are the same, like Fields of Glory is the same. Loot and Plunder, Arcane Prize, but Monstrous Takeover, Amber Bones, Savage Spearhead, these are pretty Ghur specific. So Monstrous Takeover adds up at the end of the battle the points value of units that have not been destroyed, double the value of units that have the monster keyword. So it's just like the basic kill each other victory condition, but you know, with a monstrous twist. Amber Bones is about setting up different terrain features with different mysterious terrain keywords. So what I infer is that some of the terrain in the upcoming boxed set match to these keywords. So there's the Wellspring of Primordial Energy. I think there's like a tower with waterfally things running down it. So yeah, victory conditions. Then some Ghurish twists, like Hungering Animus, which is rolling on the arcane mysterious terrain table. Reckless Aggression. A unit within 12 inches of an enemy at the start of the charge phase suffers 1 mortal wound unless it finishes the phase within 3 inches of an enemy unit. So yeah, it's a Ghurish Definitely a Ghurish feel to it, but very similar in format to yeah. Then we've got the Path to Glory Battle Pack for Thondia, with 6 missions, ones that mirror some of the stories earlier in the book, that are designed to be played in order. Then you've got your monster abilities, your Thondia territories, then the various battle plans. Then there's another section in the narrative play called the Anvil of Apotheosis, Ghur, which is basically a character generator system. It's a hero generator. 6 steps outlined in this section allow you to create your own hero, and they've got sort of like basic templates to pick from, and you use destiny points to pick abilities, archetypes, and you select your weapons, bestial companions, mounts, and so on. Then there's a little who'd you what's it that you do with all the how to work out how many points it is. Then you've got the Summons to War Battle Pack, which isn't the narrative Path to Glory one. It's a series, so I think I misspoke earlier. So this is the series of 6 games to play that plays out the story from earlier in the book. And you can play the battle packs with any armies, but there are war scrolls for the various armies with the different characters. So the Butcher's Herd is it's a Beast of Chaos one, but the Bray Shaman is named as a Gorgon Kali, and then there are rules about which missions you use Gorgon Kali in, and what happens if Gorgon Kali is slain in one mission, and how that affects the next mission, and all that. So there's about 5 different War Scroll battalions. There's the Cruel Boys, there's a Savage Uruk, a Bone Splitter, and there's 2 different Stormcast Eternals and a Beast of Chaos one. And then you've got the various battle plans. The Call of the Beast is quite interesting. You're not actually playing against your opponent. You can't do damage to your opponent. You're both competing over killing monsters that are in the middle of the table, which is quite cool. And they're all pretty themed and very different. So this other one here, for instance, Savagery and Slaughter. The game lasts a very unusual length of time. You keep track of the bestial fury points accumulated. So every time a unit finishes a charge move, every time a unit is destroyed, and every time a spell is successfully cast or unbound. And at the end of each battle round, you roll 2 dice and add the numbers together for totals less than the number of bestial fury points that have accumulated. There's a massive explosion of arcane energy and the battle ends. So quite a short battle. You've really got to get in there quick to mess your enemy up, because the game could end pretty quick. And there's a lot of them like that. They're all very very narrative to the story. Then got the match play section with its usual things about points limits and unit limits and so on. And again, there's also 5 games, and if you play the games in order, it does make a story. There are some core battalions, monstrous kill packs, which are all monsters, Hunters of the Heartlands, which can't be picked for monstrous rampages. And then Incarnate Masters of Ghur, which, as you can imagine, has an incarnate. The incarnate of this battalion only reverts to its wild form whilst all the other units in this battalion have been destroyed. Well, that's handy. That gets around that little issue. Then, as you'd expect, there are battle tactics. And then 5 what look like fairly standard match play type battle plans, but they definitely have a Thondian flavour to them. And that is the end of the book. There's a lot of really nice fun stuff in there. I am very tempted to get together with people who have those armies and play the narrative games out. It's very tempting. It looks like a lot of fun. I haven't got any Thondian terrain. Maybe I need to do that first. But the bit that I like is the generic rules effectively for Ghur, which I'm going to be able to sort of scatter into my Ghurish games for a little bit of extra flavour, help with a bit of the storytelling, which is good. Yeah, I like it. And you're not compelled to buy it because it's got something unique for your faction that you can use in any game. So yeah, good stuff. Season of War Thondia. And on that happy note, shout out, thank you to all my supporters and channel members for helping me work towards the dream. You folks are awesome. And until next time, take care, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye for now.